In previous videos, I talked about how we move through the developmental stages, gaining awareness of additional aspects of our self-concept. It's important to remember, though, that everyone is different, and each of us will have a different amount of awareness regarding each different aspect of our self-concept. Different parts of the self are in different stages at any one time. If most of our parts are at around the same stage, we can generally move through the awakening process more easily. But if we have many parts of us that remain in earlier stages, we need to help these parts of us catch up to complete the awakening process and enter liberation. If a lot of our parts are left behind in earlier developmental stages, when we enter into awakening can be especially difficult. It would be like taking a child with us to college. They're not going to understand what's going on, and they may find the whole experience quite distressing. There's just too much to deal with all at once. Helping these parts of ourselves catch up is key to maintaining our well-being and preventing ourselves from getting stuck in awakening. If we go through all the developmental stages and spend adequate time bringing awareness to each aspect of the self, fairly good balance is likely to occur on its own. However, if we doggedly pursue practices which increase awareness, practices like meditation, mindfulness, or self-inquiry, without simultaneously doing the work to acknowledge and accept all the aspects of the separate self, we're more likely to get stuck. Although these practices can be beneficial for expanding awareness and moving parts of us into awakening, the focus often remains narrow, which leaves parts of us behind. If our goal is to pursue unshakable well-being or liberation, all parts of us need to be included in the journey. In other words, we need to acknowledge and experience all the different aspects of our self-concept so they can awaken too. Until all aspects of our self-concept awaken, we will not move forward into unshakable well-being or liberation. When only a few parts of the self are awake, we will most likely maintain the perspective of the earlier stage that is our center point, and we will interpret our awakening experiences through this lens. For example, if we have a transcendent or peak experience while we're in the conventional stages of development, we will likely see this experience through the eyes of our agentic or achiever self. Or if we have a transcendent experience while we're in the post-conventional stages of development, we will likely see this experience through the eyes of our mental self. In other words, our awakening experiences will have the same flavor or color of other experiences we would have in the stage that we're at. For example, in conventional stages, we will likely focus on taking the quote-unquote right actions. This is often meditation. And we do this to keep creating the transcendent experiences that we so enjoy. In post-conventional stages, we will likely focus on exploring a wide variety of perspectives and beliefs. For example, spiritual belief systems, to mentally understand our transcendent experiences. And if we are fully in the awakening stage, we feel a bit more like everything is just happening on its own, and we're strapped in for the ride. As an example, the first part of my self-concept to awaken was my emotional self. This isn't really surprising given I have a master's and PhD in emotion psychology. More specifically, though, forgiveness, or my forgiving self, entered awakening before all my other parts. This realization that everything is as it is, and there is nothing to forgive, is what triggered my awakening. When I first entered awakening, many parts of my self-concept were still in earlier developmental stages. Those unawake parts of myself interpreted the awakening experience using the perspective of their earlier stage. For example, some of my parts tried to turn the awakening experience into a goal or a belief system. This is just what the self does at earlier stages, and it's completely fine. As long as we have parts still in earlier stages, we will be stuck in the awakening stage. Although we can realize that we are not the self at any moment, this initial realization only applies to whatever parts of the self we are aware of. We cannot move beyond the self-concept into unshakable well-being until we have acknowledged and experienced all of the self-concept. For example, if we have completely repressed our anger, we first need to own and experience that anger before that aspect of the self-concept can come into awareness. In other words, all aspects of our self-concept need to be awake. We can't leave any parts behind. If our anger is still in a very early stage, perhaps it's still reacting to threats against our body or social group, then it might take a while for it to catch up. By bringing all of our aspects of self-concept with us, we can continue moving forward and progress through the awakening process into liberation.